What's it gonna be?
Well, Marshal, it's like this. Then you don't give us much of a choice.
I don't reckon we'll give you much of a chance.
Time to clean up this town. Welcome to Texas.
Texas is the second largest state in the U.S. and borders the Gulf of Mexico to the east and Mexico to the south. My journey through East Texas starts in the Twin Cities of Fort Worth and Dallas. I then head to the oil town of Kilgore before moving south to visit the state penitentiary in Huntsville. For the final leg of my trip, I go to Houston to check out NASA's Johnson Space Center and finish up celebrating the 4th of July in the tiny town of Chapel Hill. The days of the Wild West may be long gone, but the legacy of the cowboy is alive and well in Fort Worth, Texas, locally known as Cowtown. Fort Worth started life as an army post, but its position on the Chisholm Trail transformed it into a booming center for the cattle trade. In the 19th century, thousands of cattle would pass through the city's stockyards on their way to the markets of the north and the east. Today, the town reenacts a cattle drive twice daily with its prized herd of Texas Longhorns. I'm staying at Miss Molly's, a guest house and former hangout for restless ranch hands looking for a comfortable bed and a good time.
Hello? Anybody here?
Well, hello there.
Well, hello there.
Welcome to Miss Molly's.
Thank you.
I'm Miss Molly. Thank you.
Miss Molly, I'm Zay.
Zay, you here to spend the night?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just a little information first. This used to be an operating bordello back in the day for many, many years.
What is a bordello?
Brothel.
Ah. Okay.
Whorehouse.
Interesting. All right.
And so we're trying to keep the spirit alive.
Ah. It is a hotel, though, no?
It is now currently a hotel.
Good, because I'm looking...
Oh! Just for guys like you.
Thank you. I don't know.
Would you like to see the room?
I would like to see it.
Okay, come right along with me. I'll show you right where to go.
Thank you.
This is the cowboy room. This is a connecting door to Miss Josie's room. Miss Josie's, of course, was the madam's quarters, and she would set up the activities for the evening, collect the money, and send the girls through the connecting doors, and the gentlemen that were sitting in the parlor waiting would go to the specific room they were told to go to.
This was a full-on operating business.
Yes, very profitable business. I think you need to be a cowboy tonight.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. I like that.
Thank you.
Now, if you're not happy with this room, I have one across the hallway. It's called my room.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is going to be just fine for me, cowboy.
I got to get a hug. I hug all the cowboys, you know.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay.
I'll take this room.
Okay. We're good to go. I'll just shut the door and let you get comfortable.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Have fun.
All right.
Number 9.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Molly. Well, it is a comfy bed, and I do like the style of it. I think I like the idea of being a cowboy.
Fort Worth celebrates its cowboy legacy on just about every street corner. But if you want to see real cowboys in action, pay a visit to the Coliseum, the oldest rodeo stadium in the country. The rodeo may be a symbol of the American West, but its origins go back to the 17th century when Mexican ranchers perfected the art of roping and bronco and steer breaking. Over time, rival ranches began to compete against each other, and before long, cowboys from across the land were flocking to the events eager to take home a cash prize. These days, rodeos are as much a sport as entertainment, but they still attract hard-working cowboys and cowgirls eager for a shot at superstardom. And you'd be hard-pressed to find a bigger star than Pam Minnick. Pam Minnick is an active, living cowgirl rodeo legend, and as I've always wanted to be a rodeo star, she's gonna show me the ropes. Literally. Ain't that right, Pam?
You bet, Say.
I'm so excited, I'm fit to be tied. Pam Minnick is a rodeo world champion and former Miss Rodeo America. Winning top prizes in team roping, Pam was inducted into the Cowgirl Hall of Fame in 2000. Pretty impressive, but can she school a greenhorn like me?
So I got my swing, twisted my hand over. I'm gonna go from the right horn to the left horn.
Hey, nicely done, Pam.
So get a little closer.
Right. This is not as easy as it looks, I have to say.
But that was good follow through. Don't forget about this right horn to left horn. It's like spreading butter.
Come on.
Oh man, that was great.
Hey, look, I got him.
You started to pull before you actually threw all the way, or I think it would have been just like a perfect catch.
Really? Okay, so just lay it on first and
then pull it. Yeah, yeah.
So you actually entered this sport as an athlete, not as a cowgirl.
Well, I am a cowgirl, but I became a high school rodeo champion, went on to the professional ranks, and became a world champion. My husband and I enjoyed doing it just for fun.
Well, that sounds fun.
A lot of people play tennis, and we team rope. One of the things about team roping is that there's a header and a heeler, and we're actually practicing heading. That's with the person that ropes the horns of the steer. Actually, my specialty in team roping is roping the feet. So after the header ropes the horns of the steer, he kind of slows the steer down a little bit, and then the heeler comes in and ropes the feet, and that's how they stretch the steer out to brand them or doctor them.
So it's a two-person job.
It's a two-person event. And people still use this method today, because if you got wide open spaces, you don't have a corral.
Sure.
You've got to rope them like this. What happened was one guy said to the other guy, I bet I could rope them faster than you, and that's how the sport developed.
The rodeo participants are stars.
They are. Trevor Brazil, the current world champion, he's a $4 million cowboy. That ain't hay.
If I practice, Pam thinks she can get me into the rodeo tonight. Look out, Hall of Fame, here I come.
Oh, fantastic. Hot diggity dog. When they said I had a spot in the rodeo, I didn't know they meant this.
Not just any bozo can make it as a rodeo clown. It requires skill and bravery. Clowns have to distract angry bulls and keep the crowds entertained between events. I'm just hoping to keep my face.
Oh my God.
This guy's good, man. That's precision. You might think guns and cowboys go together, but these days it's more like guns and Texans go together. Texas has more gun owners than anywhere else in the U.S., and every year Fort Worth hosts the longest-running gun show in the state.
One thing's certain,
Texans love themselves some guns, and this here gun show in Fort Worth is one of the biggest in Texas. In fact, people come in from all over the country to buy, sell, trade, and show off their guns and accessories. It's got everything you can imagine, and even some that you can't imagine. And since when I was a little boy, I wasn't allowed to play with guns, I think now that I'm grown up, I'll do just that.
This is an ultralight 50 BMG. Shoots a single shot 50 caliber round. Has a M1A2 Barrett brake on it.
What are these?
These are door breacher pistol grip shotguns. What it does is you can actually put this up against the door, pull the trigger, and it won't blow the barrel out, but it'll blow the door completely to pieces.
So you push this up against the door and pull the trigger, but it just blows out that area of the door?
Right. What happens, all the gas escapes out the sides, so it won't blow up your barrel. A closed barrel would explode.
Because normally, okay,
it would split it up.
Yeah. Clever. Don't mess with Texas, huh?
Exactly.
Everybody's buying guns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why is that?
That's just the way it is in Texas, because we can.
Is this your son?
This is my son, Austin.
Hey, Austin. Hey, nice to meet you. Do you own guns on your own, or just through
my dad's guns, but I get to shoot them.
You get to shoot them? Do you get excited about that?
Yeah, I like shooting. I've been shooting since I was probably 7 years old.
7? And was that like something you had to earn as a privilege? You had to be good in order to...
Not really. My dad just taught me.
Texas has some of the most relaxed gun laws in the country. To buy one, all you need is a local address and a valid driver's license. But if guns aren't your thing, there are plenty of other weapons on offer. Mace and pepper spray. Look at this. Tasers. A pink... Sorry. That thing is strong.
Yeah, now this is 7 million volts. It's 1.3 milliamps. Okay?
Which means it'll just stun you for a day.
The ambulance will come and get you with this one. 3 seconds. That's all it takes.
Wow. Why is it pink?
Well, I got black too. This is basically for a lot of women users.
Sure.
It's funny because the women come up, they're really scared at first.
Yeah.
Then as soon as they learn how to do it, come here, honey. Come here, honey.
Yeah. Guys like you selling these things are making guys like us scared of women.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
And this is clever. This is what? You act like you're talking on a mobile phone, and you're like, oh my God, I'm in danger, but hold on.
There you
Just east of Fort Worth is its gleaming sister metropolis, Dallas. Though geographically tied to Fort Worth, Dallas couldn't be more different. Modern, sleek, and sophisticated, the city gained international recognition in the 1980s with Dallas, a hit TV series depicting the extravagant lives of its oil-rich families. But the city had already achieved international fame back in November 1963 for an entirely different reason. During a visit to Dallas, President John F. Kennedy and his wife Jackie rode through the center of the city in an open convertible as part of a presidential motorcade. They passed hundreds of well-wishers. Then, as they entered Dealey Plaza just ahead of me on the edge of downtown here, the course of history was changed.
Presidential car coming up now. We know it's the presidential car. You can see Mrs. Kennedy's pink suit. Something is wrong here. Something is terribly wrong. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route. There's numerous people running up the hill.
The president has been shot. One witness says he definitely was shot.
The assassination of JFK has gone down as one of the darkest days in American history and cast a shadow across the city of Dallas for decades. Ever since that fateful day, people have flocked here to mourn President Kennedy's death and to try to make sense of what happened. In an effort to help people come to terms with the tragedy, the city created the 6th Floor Museum here, in the very location the president's killer committed the crime. This is where the assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, fired the shots. At the time, this building was a school book depository, and Oswald was an employee, so he had access to the site. On that chilling day, he came up here, lined up his rifle through that open window, and waited for the motorcade to pass. At the time, the trees weren't so grown over, so he had a clear view of the street and the president. Those X's down there mark exactly where his shots struck the target. Oswald escaped unnoticed, but the police came up, found his bullet shells here, as well as a rifle at the stairwell. And that helped them track down and apprehend the assassin. I have to say, even though this is a museum, and this is just a recreation of the scene, it's still really chilling here. Pierce Allman was a reporter for a local radio station at the time and witnessed the horrifying event firsthand.
The parade came down Elm Street, which is that street, and turned, made this turn, and then turned very slowly here to come in front of what is known then as the School Book Depository Building.
Right.
And I was standing right here. And
you were standing right here?
Yeah.
During the event?
Yeah.
So what was the chain of events that happened then, once you got here?
Well, the motorcycle escorts came first, and then the police chief, and then the limo was right behind them, and I was just focused on the president and Jackie. They look great. It's like you want a king and queen to look, or the president or the first lady to look.
Sure, yeah.
Jackie was on this side, had on the pink suit and the little pink hat, and I remember shouting out like, "Welcome to Dallas," or whatever. And then just as they turned, boom, it was this real loud, reverberating explosion. And I remember thinking, I turned to the guy with me, I said, you know, if that's a firecracker exploitation, then boom, again. And I glanced up, and I thought I saw a rifle barrel, but at that stage, I really could not be sure. And then after the third shot, Jackie got up and started crawling over the back of the car right down there. And the mythology at that time was that she was trying to get out, and that simply wasn't true. As it turned out, she was reaching for a sizable piece of her husband's skull that had been blown out and was lying on the back. At that time, instinct was, I got to get to a phone. You know, I need to call the station and tell them that this has happened. So I went up to the front door of the depository building right there, and I asked the guy coming out, I said, where's the phone? And he jerked his thumb and said, in there. I said, thank you. 2 weeks later, Secret Service called and wanted to do an interview. And I said, fine. And they said, are you familiar with the testimony of Lee Harvey Oswald following his arrest? I said, no. They said, well, he states as he was leaving the building, a young man with a crew cut rushed up, identified himself as a newsman, and asked for a phone number. And he said, based on what you said and based on what he said, this was obviously you asking the assassin for a phone number.
Oh my gosh, so you actually met the assassin?
Evidently, according to the Secret Service.
Minutes after it happened?
Yeah, without
minutes. Knowing it?
Without knowing it.
That is remarkable. I mean, that's crazy.
It is. It's a bit stunning, and now and then I think about it, reflect on it. There's still a sense of unreality that this simply couldn't happen in your hometown. That was my reaction. This happened. This took place. The president was killed. This is where I live. It can't be. And that is something that you simply never get over.
Within hours of the assassination, Oswald was arrested, but before he could stand trial, he was fatally shot by a local nightclub owner named Jack Ruby.
This is the base has been shot. Oswald has been shot. Lee Oswald.
The absence of a trial caused many to speculate on the murder and unleashed a tidal wave of conspiracy theories, casting doubt on the official line and pointing the finger at everything from the CIA to aliens. One of the more enduring theories is that there was a second gunman involved who allegedly fired shots from here, in what has now become known as the infamous Grassy Knoll.
The Grassy Knoll has been on my mind forever.
Yeah, why?
Because I believe one of the fatal shots came from right here.
And you agree?
I agree.
What happened up in that window was only a decoy, drawing the attention away from the gunman behind the wooded picket fence, the Grassy Knoll area.
The acoustic test, they said 95% possibility, or probability rather, that there was a second shooter, and it was from here.
Before the shadow of Kennedy's death fell upon the city, Dallas was synonymous with one thing: oil. But most of the oil wasn't discovered in Dallas. The mother lode was found about 120 miles east in the tiny town of Kilgore. For a brief spell in the 1930s, this stretch of road in Kilgore was the center of the richest acre in the world, the biggest oil field anywhere. And all these electrical pylon-looking towers are actually derricks, metal frames for oil pumps that operated here, right in the middle of town. Home to just a handful of farmers, Kilgore was little more than a tiny stop on the railway line to the coast. But in 1930, all that changed, literally overnight when they struck oil. It was the time of the Great Depression, and news of the discovery spread quickly, transforming the little town into an overcrowded and bustling city, packed with thousands of hopeful chancers looking to strike it rich, and a few who actually did. Well, the days of the great East Texas oil boom may be over, but Kilgore fondly remembers them with a fantastic museum that has recreated an entire 1930s street. I'm meeting Claude, a local, to get the lowdown on Kilgore's heyday. So, Claude, what happened to Kilgore once it hit oil?
Well, it went from 800 to about 8,000 overnight.
Wow.
Which caused all kinds of problems. People didn't have any place to sleep or eat. And it went from a town where you knew everybody in town to a place where you didn't know who the strangers were that were here or what they were here for.
That sounds chaotic. I mean, you got such a small town not ready for all these people coming in.
There's stories that they went into a barber shop, cleared the barber shop, and drilled right in the middle of it.
Really?
And,
find anything?
And they moved churches to drill where the churches
Seriously?
were.
Wow.
When you're drilling 1,100 wells in a town small as Kilgore, you're drilling them all over the place.
Kilgore's oil days aren't over yet. The town continues to produce thousands of barrels a year, with many pumps still operating throughout the town. They call this contraption here the rocking horse, and this is how they've been extracting oil here since the 1930s, pumping day and night, getting that black gold. Texas tea. Oil, that is, to you and me. I'm heading south to visit the Texas State Penitentiary in Huntsville before continuing on to Houston. Texas is a fiercely independent state that believes passionately in the rights of the individual. But if that individual crosses the line, the state has one of the toughest penal systems in the country. The majority of Texans support the death penalty, and the state performs more executions than anywhere else in the U.S. This is Huntsville Prison, where all the executions of the state are carried out. Just behind this wall here is the infamous death unit, where those who are sentenced to death spend their final hours. I'm not allowed to enter the prison, but I can visit the Huntsville Prison Museum, only minutes away. The museum charts the history of the prison and explains the development of the death penalty, from the early days of hanging through to the electric chair and the present-day method of lethal injection. Jim Willett was a warden on the infamous Walls Unit, the death house inside Huntsville Prison. He oversaw numerous state executions and today helps to curate the museum.
Zay, this is Old Sparky. It is the Texas electric chair. It was used to execute 361 men.
This very chair
Yes.
is where it happened?
Yes, this is not a model. This is the real thing. And it was given that name by inmates.
Okay.
And they also had a term that they used for the actual electrocutions, was riding the thunderbolt.
Yeah, I bet it was. What a horrible way to go, huh?
Yeah, I would think so.
And then they started doing injections after that, right?
Yes, and Texas was the first state to do lethal injection.
And what is that process like?
There's a series of 3 drugs. One puts them to sleep, one collapses the lungs, and one stops the heart.
But you were involved with actually giving lethal injections?
Yes. The warden is the one who tells the executioner when to do what he's got to do.
What was that like, being there and witnessing this?
Well,
for you?
It was an unbelievable feeling early on, especially the very first one, because, you know, you've got a perfectly healthy body lying there in front of you, and you know in just a few minutes, because of an order you're given and the other things that are going to be carried out, that, you know, this person's going to be dead.
Do you still think about that?
No, only when I'm talking to people like you.
Oh, okay. Of all the people that came in, you know, was there a favorite last request?
For a last meal.
For a last meal?
Yeah. This is probably going to come as a surprise, but it's a cheeseburger and French fries.
I'm not surprised. I think that might be my request as well. Cheeseburger and fries. The all-American meal.
Yes.
What were they like when they came into you, knowing that this is it?
I oversaw 89 executions. Let me put it this way. 86 of those men, I went to their cell right after 6 o'clock, and I called them by their last name, and I said, it's time to come with me to the next room. The cell door was open. I turned my back to that person. I walked into the death chamber with them behind me, and those inmates just followed me in there. They had no restraints on them. Nobody had a hand on any part of their body. They just walked in. I'd say, lie down on the gurney with your head up at the other end, and they did.
Did you ever develop a relationship with anyone where it was really tough for you to actually do this to them?
You want to hear a story? This guy came over. He'd become a Christian. He was ready to die, and he had a great personality, joking all the time. And when I got back there that night to get ready for the execution, I could hear the officers in there, they were all laughing. This guy's telling jokes and just having a big time. We get him in there, we put him on the gurney, and he says, I sure wished I'd have brought a piece of gum in here with me. I've got cotton mouth. The executioner was standing right behind him, and he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out, you know, the candy comes one to a pack?
Yeah.
And he handed it over to the chaplain so the chaplain could actually, and the chaplain drops it in his mouth, and this guy is really sucking. I called his last name and I said, was that a lifesaver they gave you? And he said, yes, sir, Warden, but I don't think it's going to work.
Ironic name. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, I don't think it's going to work.
Despite overwhelming support for the death penalty in Texas, it is still an emotional issue, especially for those with loved ones inside. But not everybody held in Huntsville is awaiting a death sentence. The prison holds all kinds of offenders, and today, some of them are about to be released. Hi, mind if I sit here?
No, please.
So you're waiting for somebody?
My husband.
Oh, your husband? Oh, no.
Yes.
How long?
Yeah. 3 years.
3 years, my gosh.
It's a long time. Some people think 3 years, oh, that's not that long. Yes, it is.
No, it is.
It is a long time.
You just have to wait it out.
You just have to wait it out.
Here come some guys who've just been released. Hello. Excuse me, sir. How you doing?
Great.
Good. Well, congratulations.
All right.
Welcome back to freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah? How long did you serve?
5 years.
5 years, my gosh. Did you ever think this day would come?
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
It's unbelievable, huh?
It is.
What are you feeling right now?
Oh, I'm very numb. Anxious to go home.
Yeah.
Spend time with my family. I'm happy too, though.
Yeah.
This is my family. This is my dad.
Hey.
He's been here with me the whole trip.
Oh, man.
Sister.
Hey.
Yeah, both of them been there.
Do you mind me asking what you did?
Oh,
or what you got convicted for?
Yeah, burglary of a house. Really a bogus story. These guys, we could have been taken care of, but
theft of a boombox.
They had me in there with guys who had aggravated time for murder and stuff like that.
Were you scared for them?
Yeah.
Yeah? What was your biggest fear?
They might get killed.
Yeah. What were your feelings the whole time he was gone?
I was kind of nervous because he changed a whole lot. I just did a lot of praying and just tried to have faith about the situation, that he'd get out and be safe, and he's out and safe.
Despite its grim reputation, Huntsville, at least for the moment, is about life and freedom. weird feeling, but it's exciting, and it's a dark and happy feeling at the same time. One guy looked at my shirt and said, "Don't worry, I ain't gonna mess with Texas no more." And the other guys laughed and said, "Yeah, that's true." You know, it's it's a definite graduation feel right now walking out, and it's really nice to see that couple reunited. About an hour's drive from Huntsville is Houston, the largest city in Texas and the 4th largest in the country. But I'm not stopping here. I'm heading just a few miles east to boldly go where no man has gone before. Well, okay, maybe a few people have gone before, but it's still one of the most amazing places on the planet. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Johnson Space Center. One of the biggest tourist attractions in the country, the center goes out of its way to give visitors an authentic cosmic experience. Real moon rock. Sort of thought it was going to be more like cheese. But what's truly amazing about this place is its groundbreaking achievements in space exploration. Since its inception in 1961, NASA's Space Center here in Houston has been involved in over 150 manned missions into space. Now, ironically, this one, the Saturn V, never even took off. But they put it on display here, and it really gives you a sense of its scale. It makes me wonder, how did they ever get beasts like this off the ground and yet into space? It's crazy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have liftoff at 9:34 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
From the earliest days of manned spaceflight to the last space shuttle mission in 2011, NASA's Houston facility has trained and prepared astronauts for their cosmic missions and developed just about every device you can think of to ensure humans are able to cope with life in space. I can't wait to get started. Captain Harding reporting for duty.
Welcome to the International Space Station.
Thank you.
I'm Michelle.
Michelle, Zay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It really feels like we're there.
Yes, this is actual life-size mock-up of the International Space Station.
Astronauts face many challenges living in space, and one of the biggest is learning how to adapt to a weightless environment where everything from eating to sleeping is an ordeal.
So this is the sleeping bag itself,
okay.
And this can get hung up using these same kind of clips.
Do people float around and stuff?
Yeah, the airflow will push you around. There you go.
So you guys help each other do this because I wouldn't be able to strap myself in.
There you go, and your arms
maybe
come in.
That's what this is for. Okay.
There you go.
There's zero gravity in here, right?
Right.
So it wouldn't matter if you're sleeping upside down or not because there's no blood going to your head.
Exactly right. What happens is, instead of the blood being pulled down to your legs, it goes all the way through your body more evenly, and it gives you kind of a stuffed up head feeling. You feel like you've got a head cold a little bit. We have a pillow that goes back behind your head like this, okay? And then it has a strap that goes across your head so that it helps keep your head from floating forward.
Interesting. This?
That could be used that way, sure.
Oh, this zero gravity is making me really tired. Good night. Okay, there's one area of space life you don't hear much about, but it's vital to be trained for it. Otherwise, things could get very, very messy.
All right, well, using the bathroom in space, it's what everyone wants to know about, and only 5-year-olds are brave enough to ask. So we have here the Waste Collection System, or WCS, because at NASA we have acronyms for everything. It's pretty straightforward. You have a funnel, and each person has their own little adapter that will stick in the funnel, and that's pretty straightforward. You got a little suction that'll go through the hose, make sure everything gets pulled down and away.
Peeing into a vacuum.
Yep, you're basically peeing into a vacuum. And you got to go number 2. You get to sit down. You can strap your feet into these little brackets here and handholds to hold on, and then you got to aim right down this little hole here, which is only about that big. And for that reason, we have this WCS over here. It's aiming practice.
It's got a light coming up from...
There is a camera that comes up from the bottom, and you see on the monitor over here what you're looking at. This way you can practice, since you can't see things. All right, so I'm aimed right, looking at the camera. Now, what does my butt feel like? What does my muscle feel like? Because that's the only way in space, you know, to get everything lined up and in the hole, because otherwise it starts floating. And it will float out into the air. And
unidentified flying objects within our spaceship.
Yes,
How do
very
they get
unpleasant.
in?
It has happened before.
Klingons have penetrated our spaceship here somehow.
But on the space station, it actually has an extra twist. The urine goes through a urine reprocessor and is processed into drinking water. And that's what the crew uses to eat their meals.
You're saying
they recycle their pee on board the space station.
Welcome to outer space. Learning how to live in space is one thing. Learning how to work in space is a whole different ballgame. With the help of virtual reality, astronauts practice a series of maintenance tasks to get them ready for the real deal. Reality? Virtual? I can't tell the difference. Now I'm looking into deep, dark space, the final frontier. Oh, I can see Earth. That's pretty cool.
Now, is it above you or below you?
It's above me.
Sure?
It's all relative, isn't it?
That's right. In zero-G, there's basically no up or down.
So even when I'm upside down in space, I feel like I'm right side up like this?
When you're looking down, you're looking at the Earth, even though it's up over your head.
Yeah, it's hard to tell which way is up and down, because if I break through the window here...
You should be able to poke your head right out.
I can see outside the spaceship looking in.
That's right.
It's comforting looking at Earth, I think. As much as we want to go up into space, when you're up here, you want to look back at Earth.
Ready? Yep. Game over.
All right. Whoa. And just like that, I'm back there.
There you go.
To complete their training, astronauts heading for space must come here, the Space Shuttle Flight Simulator, where they will perform some 1,500 takeoffs and landings before going on the real thing. Come in, Houston. I'm ready for takeoff.
Flight crew OTC, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow.
Ready.
Okay, ready.
Okay, 45 seconds to launch.
I'm very nervous.
There's 23 seconds to launch. 5 seconds, main engine's coming up.
There goes the tower. Oh.
Yeah, it's tower clear.
How fast are we going now?
Mach 0.2. There they go. That's the solid rockets leaving.
Wow. Hello, Houston. Are we in space yet? I gotta go bathroom. Training at NASA is out of this world. It's gotta be the next best thing to going into space. But nothing can beat the real deal. And I'm gonna meet someone who's actually been there. Back in 1969, Alan Bean was a member of the Apollo 12 mission and became the 4th man to walk on the moon.
Coming down at 6. Slow down the descent rate. 30 seconds. 18 feet. 24 feet. Contact light. Roger. Copy contact. I can't believe it. Amazing. Fantastic.
Today, Alan is an artist, living in Houston, where he has turned his cosmic experience into an infinite source of creativity. The artwork here is amazing. I actually feel like I'm on the moon looking at this guy.
That's great.
Is this exactly how I felt?
Yeah, it's great. I'm hoping you get that reaction.
I mean, there's a neat 3D quality about him. Like, how do you get these ripples and ridges that are going on in the texture of it?
One day I said to myself, why am I using Earth tools when I've got moon tools? This is a training boot, just like we trained in. You see the tread on the bottom? And it fits exactly there. One of the things that I wanted on these paintings was I wanted moon dust in them. So
there's moon dust in these paintings?
That's right. Here's a piece of my flag. This was from my suit. And over here's a different piece of fabrics. They're dirty with moon dust.
With actual moon dust on the moon.
Yeah, there it is. There's moon dust in there. So at the end, then, I've got a very textured surface that's not like any earth painting that I've ever heard of.
How did that change your life, going all the way to some place where you can see Earth just getting smaller and smaller and smaller?
Well, it's kind of scary. Your neck's out 250,000 miles. Nobody's going to come see you if you make a big mistake. You hope that the people that sewed that seam right there or figured a way to connect that glove connects. And that visor doesn't crack, because if something like that goes wrong, you're finished.
Do you have any self-portraits?
Oh, sure, sure. There's one of me right there running along the moon. And the reason I'm on my tiptoes there is the joints, the bigger they are, the harder they are to move. And so if I move my hips much or knees much, then it was a lot of work. And I was trying to save my energy.
It really captures the feeling.
I think it does. I felt so light up there, and I felt strong. I knew that it was light gravity, but still when I was doing work or jumping or running, I could do things that I could never do on Earth. And so I felt like, wow, I'm strong today, you know.
So how has this experience changed how you view life on Earth?
Frequently I would look up at the Earth and I would say, that's the Earth. This is the moon, because it seemed impossible to me too, don't forget. But actually seeing this tiny Earth down there in this huge black void and looking at it and saying, you know, but right on that beautiful Earth is all the humanity that we know of at the moment. And so I do hope that we can preserve this Earth, but we're going to have to be careful.
For the final leg of my journey, I'm heading just 70 miles east of Houston to the tiny town of Chapel Hill. Classic slice of small-town America, Chapel Hill began life in the 1800s as a stagecoach stop between Houston and Austin and grew into a commercial center for local cotton farmers. Howdy doody. Hello. These days, not much happens here, except for once a year when the whole town springs to life in a celebration of national independence. Texas has an independent spirit, but it's still proud to be American, and nowhere is this more apparent than right here in Chapel Hill. It may be a tiny little town, but their 4th of July parade is big. Hello.
Hey, happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to you too, sir. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Happy 4th of July.
Oh my goodness, thank you. You have so much spirit. Zuzu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're 235 years young.
235 years today.
I do believe.
Wow.
It's the most important day of the year.
That's true. I better get a move on. The parade's about to start, and I'm supposed to be part of it. Is this where we get kazoos?
Yes!
I'm supposed to be in the kazoo band.
I'm doing flag twirling.
Flag twirling? That's so fun. Have you been practicing?
Yeah, I've been practicing for a couple weeks.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see you. Better be good, kid.
Yeah.
Count them ready to fire. Fire!
The 4th of July is the most patriotic event of the year and commemorates the day the United States declared its independence from Great Britain back in 1776. Ironically, Texas was a Spanish possession at the time and didn't join the U.S. until 1845. But where independence is concerned, no people celebrate it quite like the Texans. This This year's parade is in honor of the country's military. But farm machinery might be stealing the show.
Texan and American, it's very similar in the sense that we have a true appreciation for what it means to be free. And Texas, you know, we fought for our independence, and we're still doing that today for America.
You can be in Texas, and you can go to different parts of the state, and it's like being in a whole different country.
It's the bigness, it's the oneness. You can be an individual, but yet you can be part of a massive group. You're thinking proud. I wasn't at the Alamo, of course, but I remember the Alamo.
If you come to Texas, this is exactly what you're gonna be. Busy, busy, busy. There's no shortage of things to do or see around this great state, and you're sure to meet truckloads of friendly people along the way. But it's a big old state, and I've got a long way to go to get home. This here vehicle ain't very fast either, but at least I won't have to make any rest stops.